Studio. We welcome now to the studio David Hardigree. He's a candidate for governor running as a Republican for the office. Mr. Hardigree, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Gerard. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I'm really excited about being here.
All right, so tell us about your background, David, and then also share with us what was the impetus for you jumping in the race for governor.
Yes, sir. All right, I've been military for 38 years. I did several deployments to Afghanistan and one in Kuwait. I did time in the Army Guard and the Army, and retired recently here in the state Mississippi National Guard. It was June of 2020, and just looking at it like it's an opportunity that I need to. Since I've served the country, I serve as a deacon in my church. I also serve with Billy Graham chaplain program as a disaster reservist, so it's now time to serve the state of Mississippi. Just learning that. And then also, too, on the conservative value, more or less, back in 2001, I was attending Hines College, Junior College, and then going to Mississippi College. And it's kind of like the Lord prompted me to run. It's like the story in Samuel. The Lord woke up Samuel a couple of times. He said, Samuel, and he woke up and said, yes, here am I. And he said, and he went to Eli a couple of times, and then basically the same thing happened to me. More like, David, I woke up about 4 o'clock in the morning, like, yeah, and all the lights in the house were out, and it was a pretty audible voice. And the next day, David, yeah. And then that thought came to mind, I want you to run for governor for the state of Mississippi. And I'm thinking, you got to have the wrong person. But didn't know this at the time, but God orchestrates our paths. The hand of providence moves in. And then here recently, I've got my 3 degrees, one in political science at Mississippi College while I was in Kuwait, a master's in legal studies at Washington U. And then here in December, got the master's in sports chaplaincy at Liberty University. And then a couple other people, they said, well, you're pretty well qualified for the position that you're at. So the time is now. I'm going to go ahead and step in. And I was in a prayer group January, February 1st, and just kind of tossing it around like, should I do this? Because you want to make sure you're running for the right reason. And I know good well that, if I'm just looking at it by myself, that there's no way that I can compete with $9 million or anything of this nature. But it was the prompting of the Lord. Go ahead, fill out your paperwork. I talked to a couple of people, on prayer group, and they said, yes, go ahead and do this. So basically, I'm fulfilling the dream, because if I look back at it and I miss out on an opportunity, and it's been 4 or 5 months down the road, like, what if? What if I did not fill the paperwork out or put my name on the ballot? What would have been life then for me? Would I have been miserable? Or I'm glad that I did.
I see. So looking at your social media, you show that you're owner and CEO at small business. You're
yes,
the business?
Yes, sir. We purchased, my wife and I, we purchased the BP station there in Sartarsha about 4 or 5 months ago. I'm not familiar with Sartarsha, but Benetonia, you make the left there on 4033. And that store has been there for quite some time. So we went ahead and picked that up. We're trying to just remodel it. And we've noticed the good thing about it is it's bringing the community together. There are people there. There's a post office right next door to Sartarsha Post Office. And the people come in and said, oh, I remember back in the day when I used to work there. I remember when the minnows and the bait shop were in the back. Or I remember when the customers would come in and things of this nature. So what it is, it's bringing people back together. And at that time, now, Miss Cassandra Lang, she just opened up Louise, named after her mother, right down the street. We did the ribbon cutting on that on July 8th. And then so now she's up and running for business. And basically her comment is the same thing. We come together. We work together as a community. And I said, well, I'll come over here and eat until we get our store set up and ready to go, and then you can come over here and eat at our store, whatever the case may be.
Gotcha. We're talking to David Hardigree. He's a candidate for governor of Mississippi. What would be your legislative, your policy priorities? What's your vision for Mississippi as governor?
Right now, it's my platform is standing on faith, and it's future accountability in the House. And what I'd like to do is I see changing the course and direction of the state. I was a quartermaster in the Coast Guard, so I'm familiar with nautical terms. And if your ship is off course just a little bit, that it'll either A, run aground or hit the rocks like Cape Hatteras, been off Cape Hatteras a little bit. But there's some things, and we've got some great people here in the state of Mississippi, but sometimes their hands are tied and they can't do what they really want to do. And as I'm interviewing as CEO of the state, I'm also interviewing other applicants when they come and do when they're running for their office to see, okay, who I work with and what direction we need to go in. But I know that there's things that we can do instead of, and I've heard some jokes like on TV and things like that. Mississippi is compared to like maybe Haiti or something in this nature. A famous comedian said that. And I'm like, no, I know we're better than that. We can do a lot of good things, and we got to do what we do is just get people to come together, business owners, farmers, the Delta, the city, things of this nature, and then work for a common goal where we can bring Mississippi from running aground to a state where people are glad to come back to Mississippi. Yeah, let's go back to Mississippi. They got a lot of good things going on there instead of people just leaving the state.
I see. Three issues that I would ask you about, David, that I think are top of voters' minds in the state of Mississippi. First would be elimination of the income tax and/or the grocery sales tax. How do you feel about that?
Yes, sir. We had a chance to talk about that the other day at MML, and I was talking to an economist. Getting rid of the income tax, a lot of people would be more than happy to do that. Grocery tax, the state tax, sale tax, I'd be in favor for doing away with taxes. However, kind of like the scales of justice, if you take away from one, you've got to add something else. And if the state's budget is not met, then you got to come up with monies someplace else. And then doing a little research and talking to people in some of these isolated communities that have 200 or 300 people, the grocery tax helps supplement the municipalities in that community. All right, so if they do away with the grocery tax there, it'll be a relief for the people who are buying the groceries. But on the other hand, where are you going to come up with this extra money at? So either the state's got to come up with some stuff. I think from what I understand, there's supposed to be a Christmas tree or a fund that the governor has. So that money's got to come from somewhere, or you're going to hike up prices someplace else, either the gas pump, tobacco, highway, things of this nature, or power, anything of that nature. But once that's taken care of, there's an equal balance there. And if somebody can come up with a solution on that, that would be great.
What about the citizen ballot initiative process? That's something that the Supreme Court has invalidated in Mississippi, and there's been legislation to restore it. Hadn't passed yet. Do you have any feelings about that?
That is something I need to do a lot more research on. If I'm understanding, is that the opportunity for all citizens to vote on a topic?
If the citizens would have the right to place a measure on the ballot that then the citizens would vote on, and if it passed, depending on how the law was written, it would become statute at that point. So.
Okay. I agree that everybody in the state should vote on a topic.
Okay.
Because you're including the whole state, not just a few interest groups and things of this nature. If you're passing something and you want to, the whole state should be involved. I see it as this way. If you've got Mississippi on your driver's license, your place of business or residence, you should have a voting voice.
Okay. All right. What about expansion of Medicaid is another very controversial topic. What do you think about that?
And I've kind of looked at some of that also too. Medicaid, I know that the money should be there to help those, and if I'm making sure I get the right ones correct, the lower income people who come in who don't have the insurance to pay for health care. There has to be some kind of funding for these folks in order to get, because if they're minimum wage workers, they make maybe $400, $500 a week, and then by the time they pay their groceries, their house note, and things of this nature, they can't afford to pay for health care. And so they either get with a large corporation that has an insurance program, but some of these people do not have that. So if that Medicare comes in to help these folks out, that would relieve a lot. And if I understand, sometimes it said that has been pushed away, but folks are needing that. But if the hospitals and medical care facilities need that money, why not bring it in?
I think I saw somewhere in maybe some of your campaign materials that you wanted to pursue some sort of reforms to welfare reform. Can you explain that? We got about a minute left.
Yes, sir. On the welfare, welfare is designed to help people out in their need. And
Okay.
it should be only for like 4 or 5 months. It should not be a lifetime institution.
Okay.
Pretty well.
Okay. Gotcha. David, appreciate you coming in, and good luck on the campaign. You going to go to the fair? You going to be there?
Yes, sir, absolutely. We're going to be there Thursday morning, and I'm going to make sure I wear something cool, calm, and collective and be ready to go. But, Gerard, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for coming in. We'll see you over there. We're coming right back, folks, with the final segment of Middays.